little hotter here than I thought. I knew they were coming around. I didn't know they had gotten quite that hot. But so they're 51 and 41. You've got the Blue Jays at 48 and 47, only 4.5 games back. And like I said, statistically a better team. You've also got the Orioles hanging in there at exactly 500, 5 games back. The Rays at 1 game under 500, 5.5 games back. So you've got 4 teams all within less than 6 games of first place. You got the Red Sox hanging in there. Well, not hanging in there, hanging in the basement. Excuse me. At 42 and 52, 10 games back. Now that is the type of team that you should look to and expect to have at least 1 or 2 of their big name, high paid guys get traded somewhere else, as I was mentioning earlier. Alright, in the AL Central, my Twins AL Central, of course, we've still got the Royals on top. No surprise there. They're an amazing baseball team. They are 56 and 36, 20 games, above 500. Way to go, KC. And then we've got the Twins hanging tight in there at 50 and 43, 6.5 games out of first. And they would be, if the playoffs started today, the Twins would be in the second wild card position. We've also got the Detroit Tigers at 46 and 47. We've got the Indians at 45 and 48, so they're coming up. Tigers still struggling, and the White Sox still struggling at 42 and 49. Now, it's sad that the Indians are 3 games below 500, and I can point out that they're improving. But they're a team to keep an eye on. Most people that I watched or read at the beginning of the baseball season said that the Cleveland Indians were a for real contender. Most of them also said the same things about the White Sox and the Tigers. It's looking like it's the Royals and Twins division this year, but just saying, there's plenty of talent there. And the Tigers, they'd probably be the ones I would be most worried about other than the White Sox. The Tigers I'd be worried about because of their health concerns. They've got a lot of big-name, older veterans. And when I say older, I just mean they're not the young guys anymore. I'm not saying they're in their 40s and stuff, or 50s, but, I'm just saying they're not considered young players anymore, okay? They got a lot of injuries. They got a high payroll, high expectations. It doesn't look at all like it's going to work out this year, so do you start rebuilding now? That's the question that a lot of these baseball teams are going to be asking themselves over the next 9 days. Do we start our rebuilding process for next season and the future and the seasons after that now? Or do we stay the course for the present and the future? Or do we change the course for more emphasis on the present? That's what a lot of these baseball front office guys are going to have to ask themselves, like I said, over the next 9 days. Look for the White Sox to possibly be trading away some parts too, as well as the Tigers. I don't think the Royals will be, Royals probably won't be looking to get anybody. Twins would be maybe looking to acquire someone. Yankees, Blue Jays, Orioles, Rays, Twins, and Indians. Those are your teams looking to acquire. Teams looking to dump so far would be Red Sox, Tigers, and White Sox. Not sure what I would think the Royals would just pick the middle road, stay the course for both present and future. Out west, we got the Angels and the Astros. Astros finally starting to come back down to earth a little bit. No pun intended there. They have been in first place in the AL West pretty much all season. Now the Angels are red hot, and the Astros are struggling just a little bit. The Angels were able to overtake them for first place here now. They are 53 and 40, with the Astros 2 games back at 52 and 43. Both of those will very much be looking to acquire possibly a final piece to help put them over the edge come playoff time. Then you've got the Rangers, 4 games below 500. Mariners, 8 games below 500. Athletics, 9 games below 500. Those teams are likely to sell their players, look for future prospects, and I apologize for missing so big on the Mariners this year. They had so many good signings. They've got a ton of talent. I thought, like a lot of people thought, that this was going to be a good year for them, and it is not. So we'll move to the National League quick, and then we will conclude our second offering of meat, throw in some more quickies, and close with our Balls Deep thought of the day. So our NL Central standings in Major League Baseball, we've got the Cardinals, of course, the best team in baseball. They've been all year. They're on the top in the NL Central at 59-34. Jeez Louise. You got the Pirates hanging in there at 54-39, only 5 games back of first. And if they were in any other division in the National League, they would be a first-place team. That's right. The Pirates have the second best record in the entire National League. But if the playoffs started today, they would be a wild card team and have to win a one-and-done playoff game to continue and have be in an actual round of the playoffs. So, at least as far as I understand it. But so you got to feel for them. You got the Cubs having a good season too. 9 games out of first at 50-43. Man, 50-43 gives you like a game out of first in the AL East. You know, it gets you 9 games out of first in the NL Central. And then you've also got the Reds and the Brewers. Now definitely look for the Reds and Brewers to be sellers. Look for the Pirates and Cubs to be buyers at the trade deadline, and look for the Cardinals to probably, be like the Royals, stay the course. However, they might make some minor moves. You've got West in the NL. We got the Dodgers in first place, followed by the Giants. They're 2.5 games out. Dodgers are 54-42. Giants are 51-44. And then, boy, it's a big drop off to the other 3. We got the Diamondbacks at 9 games out, 6 games under 500. We got the Padres at 9.5 games out, 7 games under 500. And the Rockies, who I want to say had 2 starters on the All-Star team, at 13 games under 500 and 12.5 games out of first. So, Giants and Dodgers will both look to be buying as well. Diamondbacks, Padres, and Rockies will be looking to sell unless one of them is delusional about their chances yet for this season. And I also apologize on being so wrong on the Padres in my preseason predictions. And finally, in the NL East, we have the Washington Nationals on top at 51-42. The way it's supposed to be. Max Scherzer is the unquestionable NL Cy Young thus far this season. He has been as lights out as it gets. If you ain't watched any of it, seek it out. Guy's pitching out of his mind this year, putting on a clinic every game. All-time historic level performance. Clayton Kershaw level performance. But anyway, we got the Mets, 3 games over 500 and 3 games out of first. Look for the Mets definitely to be a buyer, maybe even a buyer and a seller at this trade deadline. Nats will probably stand put. Braves could go either way. Marlins and Phillies should both be big-time sellers, especially the Phillies. As like I mentioned earlier, they've got a lot of high-paid veterans that are on a team that isn't producing any wins. So, let's go over that one. Let's look at that playoff picture one more time here. In the NL, we've got the Cardinals and the Dodgers and the Nationals all leading their divisions, and then your 2 wild card teams would be the Pirates and the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, with the Cubs and the Mets just barely missing out but being right in there. So that should be a good wild card race. And then in the American League, we've got the Angels on top of the West by 2 games, the Royals on top of the Central, and the Yankees on top of the East. And that would leave our 2 wildcard teams to be the Astros hosting your and my Minnesota Twins. That's right. We're gonna win, Twins. We're gonna score. We're gonna win, Twins. Watch that baseball soar. Shout out, home run, shout out. I messed up the words. That's okay. Cheer for your Minnesota Twins today. Yeah, there you go. Some good old-fashioned Minnesota sports music for you. All right, but yeah, that's our baseball wrap up. Sorry we didn't get to any statistical leaders. We'll get to that one of these freaking days, I promise. I just don't know when. All right, so that wraps up your second serving of meat. Again, no extra charge. You're welcome. All right, you're listening to Scotty Ball and on Balls Deep Sports Talk here on WNLMradio.com and Spreaker and YouTube and all kinds of new formats that we're being broadcast on now. So no matter what you're listening on, Thank you so much for listening. All right, now let's get as many of these quickies in as we can before we got to wrap up the show with Balls Deep Thought of the Day. All right, so for our first quickie here, let's bring it back to our last basketball topic. We've closed out all the football talk. We've closed out all the golf talk. We've closed out all the baseball talk. We've closed out all the soccer talk. We had a tiny bit of basketball talk. We will close that out. Like I mentioned, I wanted to get you guys a little more caught up on all the free agent off-season activity of this NBA season. The Spurs, and I'll go through this as quickly as I possibly can. Again, this is just a recapper catching you up on things that I haven't had time to mention all of it, so here we go. All right. Spurs re-signed Tim Duncan to 2-year, $10.4 million contract. I believe the second year is an option one for Tim Duncan. The Spurs also signed power forward extraordinaire, just entering the prime of his career, formerly of the Portland Trailblazers, LaMarcus Aldridge, to a 4-year, $80 million deal. So the thing I love most about that is Tim Duncan. It's coming full circle. He's paying it forward. The exact same thing that happened to him and David Robinson when he came into the league on the San Antonio Spurs is now happening to him. The new young guy is taking the athletic power forward position. You go play center, even though David Robinson was always playing center. But you're the older, slower guy. You play center. We got a twin tower here alongside you. We're kind of passing the torch. You teach him, groom him, that kind of stuff. And I think it's a phenomenal move. The Spurs upgraded their power forward position from Tim Duncan to LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge is an upgrade over Tim Duncan at the power forward position. And then, in their genius, they upgraded themselves at the center position by now having Tim Duncan over whoever the heck they used to have at center. So brilliant moves by the Spurs. LeBron James re-signed a 2-year, $47 million deal with the Cavs. He will then look to break the bank when the cap increases at the end of that. Anthony Davis broke the bank this year, re-signing 5 years for $145 million, maximum franchise contract with the Pelicans, and he's worth every penny of that to that organization. The Spurs were also able to re-sign Defensive Player of the Year Kawhi Leonard to a 5-year, $95 million contract. And look at this. The San Antonio Spurs were able to re-sign Danny Green, one of the best perimeter shooting and perimeter defending two guards in the NBA, to a 4-year, $45 million contract. DeAndre Jordan agreed to sign with the Mavericks and then changed his mind and went and re-signed with the Clippers. I don't know that the Clippers are going to be any better this year than they were last year or the year before. They did also sign Paul Pierce. I do like that move for that team, as he is one guy that does have monster cojones, has no problem taking charge, shooting a big shot, yelling at people to get into place, letting them know what they need to be doing. And that is one thing that this team sorely missed on the court, at least, from its players throughout the entire history of its franchise, let alone recent memory. So I do like the addition of Paul Pierce, and I definitely think they're better with DeAndre Jordan than they are without DeAndre Jordan. I just still don't think that the pieces they have are going to accomplish anything on any kind of grand scale, but maybe they will prove me wrong this upcoming season. It has been done before. Let's see what else we got here. David West, former All-Star power forward center of the Indiana Pacers, signed a 1-year, $1.4 million deal with guess who? The San Antonio Spurs. So the San Antonio Spurs' four big men are Tim Duncan and LaMarcus Aldridge, with David West and Boris Diaw coming off the bench. Unbelievable, and they kept all their young studs, like I said, in Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green as well. Damian Lillard hit it big, breaking the bank in Portland for 5 years, $125 million. They have to give him that. He's a phenomenal player at the most important position on the court. Just would have been nice if they could have found a way to keep Aldridge with him. They had something with the pair. They have nothing now without the pair. Also, Marc Gasol, one of the best centers in the league, re-signed with the Memphis Grizzlies, 5 years, $110 million. That was necessity. Kevin Love re-signed with the Cavaliers, a 5-year, $110 million contract. I couldn't be more opposed to this move from the Cavaliers front office standpoint. At what point they